Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the webinar. Can you just confirm if you can hear me?
Yes, ma'am. You are audible. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for joining this webinar today. I'm Seher Khanna, and I'm the Marketing Manager for South Asia, GMAC. GMAC is the organization that hosts and owns and is the administrator of the GMAT exam. So today we are actually here at this webinar with Collegedunia. We are going to talk about why and how and what are the changes that have happened to the online GMAT because of the unprecedented times that we're seeing because of the coronavirus outbreak. Obviously, I'm sure you all are aware that the test centers are not operational, because of which GMAT has come out with this alternative option of being able to take the test sitting at home. So this is the online GMAT, and this is something that we've recently launched for everyone, whoever wants to take the exam, so that admission cycles and your career plans are not affected. So it is specifically for those people who are interested in taking the exam in these months. It's an interim solution. Obviously, as soon as the test centers are back in operation, whenever that is in whichever city that you stay in, we will obviously encourage you to take the test from the test center itself. So this is more for people who are interested in taking the exam right now or in the coming months. So before I start talking about the exam, I'd just like to make some hygiene announcements. I'd request you all to post your questions in the chat window towards the end of the webinar, because only when you hear what we've covered in the presentation, I think it'll be relevant for you to ask questions, because I'm supposing most of your questions will be answered during the presentation itself. And there are obviously going to be some links and polls that are going to be posted along the way. So feel free to submit your answers. It's going to give some good information for us to understand what you're thinking and what are your concerns or what is your opinion on the test itself. So here, I'd like to begin now. Let's talk about the agenda today. It's going to be, like I said, about the GMAT online exam. We're going to talk about what the structure of the exam is, what are the changes that have happened to the exam, what your test taking experience is going to be like, what are the security norms and rules that we have put in place for the online GMAT so that the integrity of the exam remains intact. And then we're going to obviously talk about some commonly asked questions by candidates. And then in the end, we'll open it up to Q&A. Talking about the online GMAT exam, I don't know how many of you saw the first video that was posted here, which was by Pearson VUE. I'll obviously share the link also in the chat window. But it's basically an online remote proctored solution. When we say proctored, there's going to be actually a human sitting on the other. It's not system proctored, it's human proctored, sitting on the other side of the world, somewhere looking at you through the webcam that will be present. And this is going to be video enabled. So throughout the exam, someone will be looking at your movements. And in case there is some issue that you face, you can obviously reach out to that person. And there is an option for customer support as well. For this interim solution, like I said, it's just been introduced due to the COVID times. And as soon as this gets over with, we hope to see you all taking the exam from the test center itself. The registrations have begun from 14th April itself, and we will have the exam delivery has already commenced from 20th April. The price of this test is cheaper than taking it from the test center. The price of the test is $200. So as compared to $250 that you have to pay when you take it at the test center. This particular slide is basically to tell you what are the majority of the changes that have happened to the test. Overall, the exam structure remains the same. The scoring methodology, algorithm, scoring scales remain the same. Like I said, the integrity and security, which is a key part of the GMAT exam. That is why there are these schools. There are so many 7,000 plus programs, 2,500 plus schools trust the GMAT test because of the integrity and trust and credibility that it offers. There are few changes that have, however, happened to the GMAT test. The delivery model has definitely changed. Earlier, you could take it at the test center. Now you have to take it from home. Also, along with that, there are some basic changes that have happened to the check-in procedure, exam initiation. So there are some extra questions that you need to answer. There is some extra process that you need to go through, when you take this test. Also, like I said, it is remotely human proctored, and through a video format, you will be seen as, so that you don't cheat, or you don't have access to the answers, or, don't take the questions down or anything of that sort. So all these malpractices we've taken into account, so that this test can be, highly credible in the market and accepted by the schools. So those are some of the delivery changes that have happened to the GMAT test. In terms of the structure, there's no AWA section. So earlier, obviously, as I'm sure you're well aware, there were 4 sections to the GMAT. There was Quant, Verbal, IR, and AWA. And now there is no AWA, which means that there's no essay writing section that will be there in your GMAT. It's going to be just Quant, Verbal, and IR. And there's no section order flexibility you will have anymore, which is unfortunate, but these are the some changes which we had to make it feasible, while sitting at home and taking the test. So the test time is definitely reduced because entire section has been wiped out. But all the questions per section, they remain the same. The same time is allocated. So as such, there is no change to your preparation for the GMAT. Plus the section order. Earlier, you had the flexibility of taking the exam in a particular order. You could take, Quant first or Verbal first, and then follow it up with IR and AWA. But now you have to take it in a particular order, which is Quant, Verbal, and then IR. In terms of the scores will be valid for 5 years. This is one of the key questions that we get very often. And I want to just assure you that the scores will be valid for 5 years. In fact, one more change that has happened is that there was a limit, right, to take the GMAT. So you could not take the GMAT more than 5 times in a year and 8 times in a lifetime. Now, with this test into picture, we are considering it as a +1. So it does not really affect your limit. So your limit, even if you take this particular test, your limit will still at the test centers be 5 and 8 for a lifetime. So this is an additional attempt that we are offering to the students in case they want to take this test. In terms of optional breaks, we will talk more about how it's going to be like in the coming slides. But there is one optional break, a 5-minute break, in which you will as such not be monitored. So you can obviously use the restroom or whatever to kind of just take a break from the test itself. So you're allowed to do that. However, there's no repeat testing allowed. So that's something that you want to maybe make note of. Only one time you can take this exam sitting at home. You are not allowed to take this exam again. Whereas at the test center, obviously, you could take the exam in a gap of 16 days. However, there's another disadvantage, maybe I would say, which you might have when you take the GMAT at home. So I'm kind of listing both the pros and cons of GMAT at home, and I'll discuss more about it. But I just want to mention that in terms of a whiteboard, in your test center, you have a scratch pad and a pen that you can do your rough work in and do your workings in, and then mark your answer. Here, you have an online whiteboard. You don't have you don't have a physical whiteboard or a scratch pad along with you. So you have to do all the workings online. So maybe this is something that we've also seen in a lot of blogs, and some students have shared their concern. I'll talk more about it in future slides, but this is one change that has happened. Other than that, in terms of delivery, it's Windows and Mac compatible, and it is delivered by a Pearson VUE delivery partner, who is anyway our delivery partner for test centers. It's just an extension that they are offering, and OnVUE is the online software solution that they are offering here. Accommodations are also available. So in case some people have disabilities, there'll be extra time and extra break that will be given to them. So starting May onwards, these accommodations will be put in place for people with certain disabilities. Like I said, in terms of the exam structure, it's going to be the same because the scoring is the same. It is out of 800, and same number of questions in quant, same number of questions in verbal and IR. Like, other than just the AWA section going away, everything else remains the same. Also, another point to notice that you will be getting a 5-minute optional break only after quant and verbal, not between them. So after your check-in process is done, which will take about 15 minutes, then you have 62 minutes for quant and 65 minutes for verbal, and then a 5-minute break, which is optional. You can take it or leave it, and then you appear for the IR section, which is another 30 minutes. So this is what the structure looks like. These are some basics that you should know, that it's a $200 test. You can register through mba.com. There is no other website that you need to go to register for this particular exam. So on mba.com, just go to my account and you can obviously register for this online GMAT. Appointment slots are available, so it won't be a problem for you to schedule a test at all. Like I said, score validity is for 5 years. And the great thing, a huge advantage, I would say, and I would want to point out here, is that you have with this test is that you can send your scores to as many programs and schools that you would like who accept the GMAT. So all the schools who accept the GMAT, you can send the scores to them. This is free of cost, guys. This is for the first time that GMAT has kind of, offering this kind of facility, because otherwise you had to pay $35 to send your score after the 5. So 5 were free, obviously, in $250 in your test center format. But after 5, you had to pay $35 to send your score to each program. Now, thankfully, you can actually send it free of cost. So that gives a huge advantage, that you can send your score to as many schools and programs that you can, which accept the GMAT. Here is a poll question. Feel free to answer it. We just want to understand how this outbreak has affected your MBA plans. And once you do it, just submit and we can go on. Talking about the eligibility of the test, you are eligible for the test if you meet the technical requirements that you can read up online. We will share certain links with you also, wherein you can just test if your system meets the technical requirements. You need to have an inbuilt camera or an external webcam with the system. That is very important, because if that doesn't work, then unfortunately you will not be able to take the online GMAT. We've launched this solution across the world except for China and some other countries which had regulatory restrictions. But other than that, it's available in India and across the world. This is where you can register for the online GMAT, and just go to mba.com. Like I said, go to my account and you will find the first option is in exams, future GMAT online exams, and you can register it there itself. Some of the check-in procedures, maybe you could just read through this, that, it'll be most helpful if you actually go through the video that was shared before, and we'll post the link again of the video, which is by Pearson View. It's a video that we've also put up on our website itself. So there'll be a basic reviewing system wherein your ID requirements will be fulfilled. You will be asked to upload a picture of yours, and you will also be asked to upload an ID picture of yours. A system test would be run, and the OnView software would be installed in your computer, and that's about it. Once all this check-in procedure is done, which will involve obviously a lot of your video taking of 360-degree view via webcam, so that entire desk area and work area is scanned well. Once all of this is done, the proctor will launch the exam, and you're required to keep the live feed on throughout the procedure, throughout the test. You also should note that you can reach out to the proctor and all the customer support, but the language that will be used would only be English. There is no other language support offered at this time. This is the video that I've been talking about. You can actually just go to mba.com/myaccount, and you will be able to see this video. We will have the link also shared in the chat window shortly. do look at this video to get an idea on how to actually check in during the exam. If you don't mind, Amar, can you just play the video here at this point in time? Yes, thank you.
Interested in taking your exam at home or work? This video will walk you through some important steps to make sure you have a successful testing experience. Scheduling an online exam is similar to scheduling other exams with Pearson VUE. When it's time for your scheduled exam, go to your testing programs page at pearsonvue.com and log in to your account. Navigate to your test and choose Begin Exam. Then download the OnVUE software. Double-click and run the OnVUE software to begin the check-in process. As a reminder, be sure to choose a private area to take your exam and plan to remove any pictures or notes from your workspace. Follow the prompts to take your headshot photo and show your ID. Then snap pictures of your surroundings. Once the check-in process is complete, your exam will begin. During the exam, you will be monitored through your webcam and microphone. Once you begin testing, you will not be permitted to leave the room or move out of the proctor's view. If you have questions during the exam, feel free to use the chat icon at the top of your screen to contact the proctor. Thanks for learning about OnVUE Online Proctoring. Good luck on your exam.
Thank you so much. So, yeah, so this is just a video. We have it uploaded on mba.com as well. So this will just give you a good idea on how you could do the check-in procedure and start your test. Moving on to the online whiteboard, which has been a matter of concern for many students, and let me just put it out there that a decision has been taken to have the online whiteboard and not the physical scratchpad is basically purely based on security, so that your exam is as secure and there's no cheating that's possible, and few students do not take advantage of a situation where there's a physical scratchpad and they could just put down or note down all the questions or maybe have something written beforehand. So a lot of malpractices are prevented by not having a physical scratchpad, and that's why there's this online whiteboard. The best thing is that in the online whiteboard now you have a practice tool available. So you could actually just go on mba.com/GMAT Online and you will see this online whiteboard as just to practice. You could do that. It just works like one of the paint features. You could just write down whatever your equations you want to. You can take in notes. You can use this for your quant and verbal and even IR if you want to. But most importantly for quant, I would suggest you to practice on this online whiteboard and then only appear for the test. We also will have this online whiteboard tool integrated in our practice exams, the mock exams that we have. You will have it very soon up there. But till then, at least you can practice on the online whiteboard practice tool that's available on mba.com. Like I said, all of this is being done to just maintain a secure experience of the exam. So before the exam, we have the ID verification. We have the environment review done through this 360-degree camera. We also will make sure the proctor might ask you to close all applications that are currently running on your system so that the exam is done smoothly. During the exam, there's we use the lockdown browser. There's a live human proctor, and the audio and video recording is being done. And certain AI tools are also being used for authentication and ID matching and detecting in case there is some irregularity in terms of your ID. So a lot of these instruments are being put in place just to make sure that your exam experience is fair and to avoid any kind of cheating or advantage to just certain students. So that is the reason that some of these measures are being taken. In terms of sending your scores, like I said, that you will be able to send your score to as many colleges, as many programs that are GMAT accepting as you want. And you will get your official score within 7 days. You will not get it immediately after taking the exam. The way in your test center, you had that privilege of previewing your score immediately, but in this case, you will not have that. So you will get your score, your official score, after 7 business days. And after you see your score, feel free to send it to as many schools as you would want to send, as it's free of cost. Also, the sending of scores at no cost starts from 1st of May. So this is the right time to kind of take the exam so that you have that that provision. Another pop-up has, I'm sure, come up on your screen. This is about which countries, if you're interested in doing your masters or MIMs, or masters in management or MBA programs. So if you can just select some countries that you're looking at post the lockdown opens up, obviously. Don't just share your plans that you had beforehand. We'd like to know what your plans are now. How have they changed? So the idea is to just understand what kind of countries you're looking at, India, or if abroad, then what countries you're looking at abroad. In terms of accommodations, like I said, in case of disabilities, certain accommodations will be made wherein 50% extended time would be given, extended break would be given, depending on the kind of disability. And for that, you need to reach out to us beforehand with certain certificates which would be required to prove why you need that accommodation. To summarize quickly, what remains same is that the test structure, other than like the AWA section going away, everything else remains the same. Content, preparation does not change at all because we have the same syllabus, if you may call it. The sections, the time period allotted for each section, the number of questions per minute, or per 2 minutes, so that remains the same. Your break that was available earlier is still available. It's just that you get it after quant and verbal. Your score scales remain the same, and you can also review your score like you could before when you had a test center to take the exam. You also have accommodations available, and there is obviously widespread school acceptance. So we've spoken to a lot of schools, and obviously before coming up with this test, we had a discussion with all our key schools who accept the GMAT, just wanted to know if they are acceptable to this new format, wherein a candidate could take the exam from home, and they were more than happy to accept this. So as such, from schools, we've received a very, very positive response for this test. So feel free to take this test because all the schools that are GMAT accepting will definitely accept this score. What has changed in the new model is basically it's a shorter test which works at an advantage. There's the price has changed. It's now lesser, $50 less. So it's $200. There is no cost, again, like I said, for sending your score, and scores are available only after 7 days, not immediately after taking the exam. The online delivery definitely has changed since you take it at home and not at a center. An online whiteboard, we understand that that's one of the big changes that have happened. Instead of a scratch pad, you have that online whiteboard that you will have to refer to. So these are some common questions which have come up from a lot of students, and I just thought it's a good idea to categorize the kind of questions that come up and answer them here itself. In terms of appointment management, we hear that a lot of people are asking, what if the test center at my particular city opens up and the online option is also there? Then where do I take the test? Should I take it at the center or take it at home? So in that case, because it's possible that, especially in India, that certain cities might the lockdown might open sooner than other cities. We are yet to obviously hear from the government as to how to move forward. But in that case, if the test center in your city is open or opens up very sooner than other cities, then we would encourage you to take it at the test center, obviously maintaining all the safety and health requirements. But we would encourage you to take it at the test center. Online option would be available to everyone. We are not just having it open for those candidates who are living in cities where the test center might not open. It'll be open for everyone. Appointments cannot be transferred. So it's not that you have an appointment at a test center and you think that, okay, let me just quickly transfer that appointment to a home appointment wherein I could just maybe take it at home. That cannot happen. You will have to cancel the test at the test center. You will get a refund back, and then you have to book a new appointment for a online GMAT. So it's not transferable. And same way, if you have already booked, say, an appointment for taking the test at home soon, you will have to cancel it. You will have to wait for the refund, and then you can book it at the test center as a fresh appointment. So that's what you will have to do. The good thing is that because of obviously the lockdown, we are making it free to cancel or reschedule any test center based appointment during this period. So you will not be charged for canceling or rescheduling at all. In terms of system and workplace requirements, there are questions related to which computer will work, which not. So like I've already mentioned before, Mac and Windows both work. In terms of audio and webcam, if you just have a reliable internet connection, obviously we would need a smooth internet connection and at least a speed of 1 Mbps. If that is something that you have, then I believe that you can take the test. You have to have a decent workspace, no phones, smartwatches, or any external devices. There are lots of questions when people ask that, I have an external pen, or I have maybe instead of the mouse, can I connect it to a screen and, just to write on the online scratch pad, can I use my touch screen and a stylus? So I just want to put all those queries to rest right now by saying that none of these devices are allowed. So you will not be allowed any dual monitors. You won't be allowed any external devices, be it a writing pad or a digital pen or anything of that sort. You will also not be allowed to use the touch screen of the touch screen. So you are allowed to take the test from a touch screen, because if that's the system that you have, we're not obviously expecting you to somehow manage a new system. You can use the touch screen system of yours, but you will not be allowed to use the feature of touch screen. So you will not be allowed to use your fingers or your stylus or your pen on the touch screen to do anything on the online scratch pad or mark your answers of. So that feature you will not be able to use it. But otherwise, you can definitely take the exam if you have the screen, if you have a touchscreen monitor, you can definitely take it. A system test would be run like we've already described, and only once you're eligible, basis meeting all your system requirements, you can take the GMAT. Then there are many more questions and we've categorized them. Sorry, go on.
Hi, sir. Sir, I think like there was a small lag from your side. Can you repeat whatever you said in the last 1 minute? That would be actually helpful for the students.
Sure. So I was only saying that that system requirements, as far as system requirements are concerned, writing pad, digital pen, external pads of any kind will not be allowed. And I was talking about the touch screen specifically. I'd just like to point out that you are allowed to take the test if you have a touch screen system, but you will not be allowed to use the feature of the touch screen. So you will not be allowed to scribble on the touch screen using a stylus or a pen or your fingers also. So you will not be allowed to use the feature of the touch screen. You can, but however, you can take the test if you have a touch screen system already. It's not that we won't allow you. You can take the test, but you can't use the feature. That's what I have been talking about in the system requirements. Moving forward, with the score compatibility and flexibility, like we have said it, and officially also, and even in the presentation before, that same scoring methodology will be used, same scoring scales are used, so your score does not change at all. So if you're taking the online GMAT, do not be skeptical about your score going down or going up, or or many questions come up where people ask, are we at a disadvantage if we take the GMAT from home? How is that in comparison to somebody who has already taken it from a test center? Will my score be lower than if I take it from a test center or not? That's not at all true. There is exact same algorithm being used for the GMAT at home as well. Also, your scores will be sent via an email to you in 7 days. So you will have the flexibility to review your score only if you think it's good enough for your dream college or your aspirational college that you want to make it to. You can send it. So as such, like in your earlier case, you had to send those 5 scores, complimentary that was, but you had to send your 5 scores to schools without even previewing your score. So now you don't have that. So you can easily preview your score after 7 days and then only send your score to your selected college. And I have pointed this out again and again that it's complimentary. So make sure you use this feature that's available right now. As far as preparing the test is concerned, again, we get a lot of questions on how to prepare for the test. Is there any new mock that you have released basis the online GMAT? So we just want to point out that no, we have not released any new mock because there is actually, frankly, no change except for the essay writing section going away. So you can feel free to use the official mocks that are available, and MBA.com has all the information. So it's a great time. Actually, if you see the notification that will come up on your screen is for the link actually takes you to the website where your official practice material is present. So make sure that you just click on this link and see all the practice material that's available. There are 2 mocks that are free when you just sign up on MBA.com. And other than that, you can also buy 4 more exams and use this time to also prepare for GMAT when you're, I'm sure, saving a lot of your commuting time. If you're working, you're saving a lot of your travel time. If you're in college as well, I'm sure there's a lot of extra time at hand which you can use for preparing for the GMAT, and all of this official material should definitely help you. In terms of the Scratchpad, I think we've spoken at length about it, but I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have related to the Scratchpad. But I will definitely share the link as well. Moving on. In terms of the connectivity and technical issues, here this is the kind of icon that will appear on your screen on top at the bar when you take the test. This is the typical logo. You don't have to click the first icon, which is the Pearson VUE on view logo. The second one is just your recording. So your video obviously is going to be captured here. And then you will have the chat option. So in case there is some problem that you're facing and you need to live chat with the support system, you could do that. And you will get an answer immediately. In case you don't have to worry. Necessary action will be taken in case you're facing an issue with, your system is hung up or something. Don't you worry. Immediately, there is some resilience anyway built into the system. So at that point in time, the time will be paused, and you will be starting after your issue is resolved. You will be starting from the same point where you had stopped. So that way you will not lose any time, or don't worry, you won't even lose any answers that you've submitted. So everything will be recorded and kept, and then your exam will resume. Hopefully this shouldn't happen for you. However, in case your exam is irrecoverable, it could be a case, then the exam will be reset completely from the beginning. And this will be only done upon review, and this will be verified, and you will be allowed to retest. So don't worry, though in normal circumstances, you will not be allowed to retest in case you've taken the exam very smoothly and everything has happened. Online exam is not built like that, so you don't take the exam again. But in case, obviously, if there's an issue and because of some reason your exam had to be reset completely, which shouldn't ideally happen, but if it does happen, you can retest and take the exam again. The next icon that I was talking about is a whiteboard icon, and this would be obviously be all the time available throughout the test. So make sure you just click on it, and a whiteboard is going to open, and you make use of this whiteboard just to do your rough work. Yeah, so another pop-up question has come up. We just need to know which other entrance exam are you preparing for these days. If you're preparing for GMAT or you're preparing for CAT or GRE or any other entrance exam, feel free to submit your answer here. That's about it from my side. These are the two links that I just wanted you to make note of. This is a link related to how to prepare for the online GMAT. If you don't mind, Amar, can you just post it on the chat window? These two links, this will really help students to understand where to go to at the MBA.com, because sometimes, students tend to get lost at the MBA.com. They don't know where to go to. But these are the two links you should keep in mind. One is the FAQ link. So all the questions that you might be having related to the features of the test, or you're not sure about how scoring is done or which school is accepting, for all of those questions, we've already made a full document of FAQs and answered those questions. So this is available at the frequently asked questions /GMAT online exam. That's the link. And to know how to prepare for the exam and some of the basic security and system requirements, some more detail on it, you can go to the first link that's projected on the screen here, which is prepare for your exam. So feel free to access these two links. And I think now we are at a good time to take questions. So feel free to post your questions on the chat window and I'll try and answer each of them. Thank you. And here, this is our last pop-up question. We just want to know if you've signed up for any course just to upskill yourself. It could be any course, be it maybe Udemy or a Coursera or a language course. It could be just anything. We just want to understand if you've done that during this lockdown time or not. Okay, moving on to the questions. Let me just take them one by one. So the latest question, I'm just starting from below. The latest question is, study material is free of cost, or do we have to buy it? Well, the study material is, some of it is free of cost. When I say study material, yeah, mock exams are free of cost, but 2 of them are. The rest you will have to buy. Study, as far as is concerned, GMAT OG, which is the official guide, is really a best source to go to. Currently, Amazon is not delivering any books because of the lockdown, as it does not come under essential category. So you will not find Amazon or Flipkart delivering any books as of now, but you can buy them online. So we will soon be sharing an email actually with all the students who sign up for MBA.com and register themselves. So even if you don't plan to take the exam in the next month or so, I suggest you still create a profile on MBA.com. At least start with all your preparation and your practice so that you're ready when the lockdown opens, maybe in 2 months or so. You can utilize this time to study. And we will reach out to you with the link of the online OG, so which you will have access to. So just make sure that you keep checking your emails from MBA.com. Next question is, what if I'm not taking the GMAT exam instead? I'm taking IELTS exam for going abroad. IELTS is a simple exam. It's an English exam. GMAT is not an exam of English. It is an aptitude exam. So there's a huge difference between IELTS and GMAT, and they're not comparable at all. GMAT tests a student on whether they are eligible to do specifically a master's degree, and that too in management, or it could be in science, or it could be MIM programs. So it's very different from an IELTS. What is the eligibility criteria after engineering? I'm supposing you're asking eligibility criteria for GMAT. Well, all you have to do is, GMAT doesn't have any eligibility criteria as such. Frankly speaking, even a 13-year-old can take the GMAT, but it all depends on what your eligibility criteria of your school that you're applying to is. So GMAT obviously opens various doors. Your career opportunities across the world open up. and they could be in management, MBA, or masters in, say, data analytics, or masters in financial planning, or STEM programs, or MIM programs. Your Europe has one of the best MIM programs, etc. So even India, for that matter, ISB is the top school that offers MBA. For working professionals, you can also look for executive programs. And this, I feel that, and not just me, I think if you read a lot of reports, they'll also say that because of this outbreak that the country, and in fact the world, is going through, there's going to be economic slowdown for sure, and companies are facing the heat because the revenues have gone down drastically. And this is the best time actually to go and study, because once you are done with your masters, be it MBA or whichever post-graduation that you want to apply to, this is the best time, because you will be spending those 1 or 2 years in that particular college when the economic slowdown will be going on. And once you actually pass out from the college, when the country also goes back to the economic situation becomes once better, your job opportunities will be much, much more. And that ways you will come out with a degree and a great job in hand as well. So such times are actually the best. This is the time that happened during Great Depression and Depression as well. Whenever there is any economic depression, the best thing to do actually is go for higher education. Well, after the MBA, jobs should be depending on the college that you choose to, and many employers actually also look for your GMAT score. So you will see that a lot of employers, you can actually add it as part of your CV itself, and a good score obviously has a long way to go, not just in B school admissions, but also in your placement. So Akshay has asked this question: what are the chances to get into a B school in India, specifically if you have 3.5 years of experience in IT and a score around 700 in GMAT? So I would say that a score of 700 plus and 700 in GMAT is a great score. And depending on which college you're interested in, but 3.5 years is actually the ideal experience that I think 3.5 to 4 anyway is something that most of the colleges are looking for when you actually go for your MBA. So it's a pretty good option that you have. Anyway, in India, there is, I'm not talking about the executive programs, but normal programs really don't have a minimum age or a minimum experience kind of requirement. So you will have a mixed kind of a crowd. Some people would have, obviously in your class, would have maybe 4 to 5 years of experience. Some might have 0 experience, some might have a 1-year experience, but it's always good to have some experience, especially if you're going for an MBA. But otherwise, MIM options, if you go for them, they don't need any work experience. But for you, I think 700 is a pretty good score to apply in India. There are 100 plus colleges and programs in India, not just ISB. There's SPJN. There's a whole lot of colleges that accept. There's IMT Ghaziabad, and a lot of colleges that accept the GMAT in India. Which all colleges I can access after this exam? After you take the GMAT, you have access to a lot of colleges, and you can actually go through the entire list of colleges at mba.com. So there are about 2,700 plus colleges that you have access to across the world. So feel free to go to mba.com and check out the entire list. Next question by Shubham is, till what time or month will the online GMAT be conducted? And does the college consider startup as work experience? If not, what should I do? To answer that question, online GMAT is available till 15th of June as of now, but it all depends on how the situation of lockdown goes on. But you can definitely schedule online GMAT exam till the 15th of June. So as of now, that's the date. Yes, colleges do consider startup work also as work experience. And if you're employed full time, in fact, startup culture gives you a lot of idea of not just your particular domain, but how everything else also works. And some colleges, in fact, value startup experience much more than a regular big brand or a big company experience, because in big companies you're just working in your particular domain, but in startups, I don't know what your role is, but I believe you have access to other domains and truly understand how a company is built and are going through more challenges than a person who's working in a well-established company. So definitely it's valued. Next question by Nandini is, what are the job positions which I should be getting after doing an MBA? Well, an MBA opens a whole lot of job positions for you. It could be in marketing, finance, HR. You obviously join as a manager. It could be as a management trainee or directly a manager. It depends from which college and which company you're going to. But it's a whole lot of job opportunities that open up. Next question by Rahul is, what about the cost of the exam? Can I take a refund if the lockdown opens before my test date? Absolutely, you can. The cost of the exam is $200. You can take a refund, definitely, and then you can schedule a test at the test center. Mukul is asking, how much is the minimum score we need to get into a good college? Well, Mukul, the minimum score as such, every college has their own eligibility. Some colleges do announce what the minimum eligibility is in terms of score, and I have that separately with me. Maybe I'll share that towards the end. But as of now, we do not have a list of colleges with minimum scores, because some colleges reveal the minimum eligibility, some don't even reveal, some actually just say that it's a part of the profile selection. So GMAT is just one of the parts of the profile. There are various other things like letter of recommendation and your work experience, your academics. So all of this together makes your selection to a B school possible. Next question is by Mukul. The score of the exam will be valid for 5 years from the exam result. Is it right? So yes, the score will be valid for 5 years from the time you get your official score. Will the online GMAT score be accepted by Indian B schools? Yes, they are accepted by Indian B schools and B schools across the world as well. Like I said, I'm going to share a quick snapshot of the Indian B schools and schools across the world which accept GMAT towards the end. Sectional cutoff for SPGen, you have to ask the school itself. I'm talking from GMAT perspective, so I don't have that information. CAT and GMAT exam pattern is very different. It's not just about, both of them obviously are testing your maths and English skills, because that is the basic subject that's tested for aptitude testing. But you have to understand that it's not just about just maths and English. It is the entire exam style is different. GMAT is testing you a lot on the understanding of the section. They are testing more on the width of knowledge. Also, in case of GMAT, your verbal is a slightly tougher section where a deeper understanding of the language is required, whereas in quant, maybe it's much easier as compared to CAT, because CAT is very heavy on quant overall. So they're two different exams, two very different approaches that you have to take for both the tests. Muskan has asked, should we postpone our plan due to the COVID situation, or should I target September 2021 intake instead? Well, Muskan, that's frankly, it's a very personal choice, whether you want to postpone it, or you want to not postpone it and take the exam right now. We as an organization have offered a solution wherein you can take the exam if you want to right now. It's just that the option is available. Whether you want to postpone your plans, it's all dependent on how you want to go about your career and make that decision. With US putting temporary ban on immigration, will our GMAT scores be considered in American schools? Well, the US has put a very temporary 1 or 2 months. I think it's a 60-day delay, and a ban is also very temporary. So we're not talking about admission cycle starting now. Anyway, all the schools, American schools, are accepting GMAT score very happily. In case there is some delay in the school starting their session, anyway, the session would be starting later, not now, but even if they start, it'll be maybe online first and then maybe the classes would begin. But American schools are more than happy accepting the GMAT score. We've not received any notification from them talking about not accepting the GMAT score, because this ban is very temporary. That is just anyway going to open up very soon. Kindly mention the Indian B schools. I think I should do that first. Amar, I have this slide with me that I just want to showcase. Give me a minute. I'll just have it out and then. Yeah, Amar, so how do you want to do it? Should I?
Ma'am, you have the slides. Basically, is it a PDF?
No, it's slides basically. It's a presentation.
Okay,
I just want to show that.
Just go ahead with your screen sharing.
Okay.
There's the button on the top.
Well, I don't think it's letting me share my screen.
No worries, just share the slides with me. I'll do that. You can, in the meantime, you can answer the questions.
Sure.
I'll slide. Then you can just mail it to me.
I'll do that. Okay, done. Let's go back to the questions. So we'll show the slides in some time because the slides were a little heavy, so I've just mailed it. The next question is, if I want to go abroad with the GMAT, would I have to take the IELTS as well? No. If you've taken the GMAT, it covers the English bit. IELTS is a very basic test, like I have said before. It does not require you to take IELTS because GMAT tests you on a much, much higher intellectual capacity of English. So you don't have to really take the IELTS. Please share the list for B schools abroad as well. Okay, actually the slide has all details of B schools in India and abroad. So it'll cover most of it. What would you suggest whether I should appear for online GMAT or wait till the lockdown gets over? Like I said, it's and give it as per the old traditional format, which is at the test center. Like I said, it's a very personal choice whether you want to take the exam right now. It all depends on the time that you have at hand. See, if I, it all depends on where you are in your career and what kind of pressure situation that you are going through right now. If you think you have extra time at your hand during the lockdown and you want to maybe use it and you think that, this time is the best to kind of prepare for an exam like GMAT, where I've already mentioned it before and I'll say it again, that you need 2 to 3 months, dedicated 2 to 3 months to prepare for GMAT to get a good score. And a good score, I mean like 650 plus, 700 plus. So these are like good scores which will land you up into your dream universities. So if that is your goal and you think this is the best time to prepare for such an exam, I would say use this opportunity and take the exam right now, because the score is anyway valid for 5 years. So it doesn't really matter whether you take it now or later. Take it when you are best prepared for the GMAT. As far as test center on online GMAT, I have listed down throughout the presentation. The whole objective was to tell you what are the differences. There are certain pros, there are certain cons. So you have to weigh in your priorities. You have to weigh in what you think will work as an advantage for you. For some people, sitting at home and taking a test is maybe less stressful because the fact that you are at the comfort of your home and you're taking the test. For some, it might be less stressful, which might lead to an increase in the score just because of the mental stress being less. Some might say that the scratch pad is a really important feature, and unless I don't have a sheet in front of me where I could do the working, I will not be able to take the test. So it all depends on how you can program your mind and how do you take the situation to be in. So I would say that both situations, be it online GMAT or GMAT at test center, both have their pros and cons. I'm not having to experience I don't have any experience, is what Nandini says. I'm planning to do an MBA abroad, but so I want to know, what should I take? Should I first take experience and then go abroad? Yes, I think to go abroad specifically, if you're not going for MIM and MBA, like you stated in your comment itself, in your question itself, if that is what you want to go for, then definitely it makes sense to do to get an experience, and that would not just 1 year experience. You should definitely go for at least 3 to 4 years experience minimum to be eligible for an MBA abroad. Mukul has asked when the exam would be conducted. Mukul, you have to just schedule an appointment and your exam will be conducted. So just feel free to just log on to mba.com, and I will just share the link right now here. 1 second. So that you can register for this online test. Absolutely. So thank you. The pop-up has this link. So just go on to the link and schedule your test. It's being conducted as we speak. So will I get online class also? Well, I didn't get that question, but if you mean that coaching, GMAT is not into the business of coaching. We're into the business of test taking. So regarding coaching, you have to refer to a test prep company. Will GMAT score be valid for IIMs? Yes, it is. IIMs accepted, especially for their executive programs. So feel free to apply there. I think now, since we just have 3 to 4 minutes remaining, Amar, can I request you to just showcase the slides that I sent you?
Sir, I'm really sorry, but actually I have not. Okay, I just received them. Just a second, okay?
Okay, great.
Just give me a minute.
Okay, let's answer Siddharth's question. Have heard few stories in GMAT Club about proctors pestering while exam is going on, like speaking in between. This might affect concentration, which indeed would lead to relatively less score. Is there anything can be done about this issue? Okay, so Siddharth, we do keep a track on GMAT Club and the blogs and the posts that people write there. But I just want to make sure that you are aware that sometimes few exceptional cases are just blown out of proportion. So there would be some cases where a proctor must be speaking because a student or a candidate who's taking the exam must be doing something which he or she is not supposed to do. So for example, getting up from your seat while taking the exam, or if your eye movements is going between left to right and the eye movements are a lot, then a proctor gets suspicious that there is some activity going on, and he will speak in between just so that the sanctity of the exam remains. So this must be some cases where the proctor would have spoken in between, but otherwise we have not experienced cases where the proctors, because these proctors are very well trained by the Pearson team, and they will not definitely speak unless there's some ill or misdoing by the candidate. But I would also suggest you to take all of these stories that are posted up through just with a pinch of salt, because sometimes things are just blown. One case happens in maybe 10,000, and then the case is blown out of proportion. But if anybody is facing such an issue, you're free to report, because like I said, the entire test time is being video shot. So we have all the evidence of how the test went. So in that case, you should just feel free to rely on the proctor and the video. Let me just quickly go to the slides where I just want to show you the exam opportunities, the career opportunities that you will have. So this is for undergraduates particularly. Feel free to take a screenshot if you want to. There are STEM programs and deferred programs and business masters and full-time flagship programs.
There are a lot of people who have already joined. So let's wait, 2 to 5 minutes for.
Sorry? Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah, 155.
Okay, great. So we have these these STEM programs also, which are accepted in the US. STEM programs give you the opportunity to actually work and get a work permit for a longer duration as compared to an MBA. MBA just gives you 1 year work permit, whereas a STEM program can give you 3 years. So these are some programs that accept the GMAT in the US. Feel free to take a screenshot if you want to. Some people were asking about, the GMAT score requirement. Like I said, not all universities give out the average GMAT score needed or the minimum GMAT score needed, but some information that we already have with us is this. These are, again, some more US STEM programs with an average GMAT requirement. These are some deferred programs in case some of you are in your college and are in your 3rd years or 4th years of your engineering. These are some of the deferred programs. Like I said, ISB has a YLP program. Then you also have Harvard, Yale, Stanford, and the eligibility criteria obviously is a GMAT and an essay and CV, and goes on. But this is also gives you an idea of the GMAT score requirement by each of these colleges. I'll just take last 2 minutes and I'll talk about some MIM programs, because a lot of questions came about the MIM programs as well. University of St. Gallen, HEC Paris, LBS, all of these are top colleges which offer an MIM. And MIM is basically when you go for an MBA. It's quite like an MBA, because it's at the end of the day masters in management, but it's just that people with lesser experience, 6 months, 1 year, even 0 experience, can apply to these colleges for the MIM course. And in the end, we have our very aspired MBA colleges. This is basically FT ranked wise, because we follow FT rank, and we suggest you guys also should refer to the FT rank to look at what colleges you should make your aspirational dream colleges. We also have the GMAT score range along with it and the tuition fee. So it should give you a good idea on what kind of score ranges is actually Stanford or Harvard looking for. Specifically for people who are interested in Indian programs, this is the slide for you. So this is basically, like I said, ISB, SPJN, Great Lakes, IMT Ghaziabad, IMI, BITS Pilani. All of these colleges accept GMAT in India. So feel free to actually use your GMAT score in India, specifically if people who have, who would be a little conservative now, because considering the lockdown situation and COVID situation, if traveling is something which is not at top of your mind, if you want to do an MBA, you might want to do it from India itself. For you, specifically, these options should work. And these are some of the details of Indian colleges. The GMAT cutoff along with the course. So that's about it. I think I'd like to leave you with this particular slide in case those people who want to study from India want to still take a screenshot, feel free to do that. And I'd like to end the webinar by thanking all of you for your patience in listening to me and listening about the online GMAT and what are the opportunities that open up post the GMAT. And we've gone 5 minutes past the time, but I think it was definitely worth it. Thank you so much for posting your questions. I hope I've been able to answer all of them. For more questions, if you have anything related to the online GMAT, I've already shared the link. So please go to the FAQ link and please see the answers, because most of your questions should have been there in that link. Thank you so much.